Okay, let's talk about my kitty cat for a minute. His name is Smokey. He is Siamese, long-haired, and he's antisocial. Just to put it nicely, he does not really want to deal with us too awful much, and I can't say as I blame him. So, he'll pretty much only meow if he needs something. So, if he wants outside or he wants back in, or if his food dish or his water dish is empty, he'll let us know. There's a few occasions where he'll meow and he'll want to be petted, but for the most part, he just wants to be left to himself. He'll come in to sleep and then he goes outside to play. So, a little while ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, he started getting very snippish. He got to where if anybody tried to touch him, usually he'll tolerate us if we try to pet him, but if anybody would try to touch him, he would try to bite, which was totally uncharacteristic. And then it got to the point where he started attacking us. So you'd be walking across the floor and all of a sudden he would just latch onto your foot. And he was drawing blood. So in that moment, it was like, well, we need to get rid of the cat because we're not going to do this. We're not going to have an animal attacking us in our own home. And I thought, well, maybe there's something bothering him. So we got to examining him, and he had fleas. So a flea bath, some flea treatments, and flea treating the house. He was back to being his own self. Turns out he wasn't turning into a mean cat after all. He was just tired of being bitten by the fleas on his neck. Fast forward, and he starts going through the same thing again. He starts just randomly getting mad at us and trying to attack us. Well, he didn't have fleas this time, but I noticed he was walking funny. So I got to examining his paws, and his nails had gotten too long and were starting to curl up. And so every time he would put them in the pads and try to walk, they would poke him. I'm sure that was very painful. So we wrapped him up in a blanket and cut his front paws. Once we got his toenails cut to where they were at a reasonable length, he was back to being his old self. Why am I talking about my cat? Because I'm like my cat. Not completely. I'm not antisocial for the most part. And I don't try to just avoid people until I need them. But there are times when I'm snippish, when I'm snapping at people for no reason, seemingly, when I am being very ill, when I'm snapping out at those that I love the most. They're no fault of their own. They can just walk into the room. There are times when my husband can just walk into the house and I will immediately begin copping an attitude with him. And he's like, what in the world? Well, when my toddler started having fits, he's not a toddler anymore, he's a preschooler. But when he started having tantrums, you try to figure out why. You try to deduct, is he tired? Is he overstimulated, understimulated? Is he hungry? All of these things. But we don't tend to try to do that to ourselves as adults. But shouldn't we? Just like my cat had a reason for getting ill. He had fleas biting him at one point. He was getting stabbed with his own nails at another point. He had a reason. And toddlers usually have a reason for their meltdown, even if we don't understand it. So why shouldn't we look at ourselves and be like, why am I being extra curlish today? Why am I being a bit of a brat? Just to be honest, why am I being this way today? So I'm going to challenge you as I'm challenging myself. When I feel that snippishness coming on, when I'm ready to snap everybody's head off, when that attitude is rising up in me that I do not like, because it is not Christ's characteristics, it's flesh, pure and simple. Lord, help me recognize in those moments so I can examine myself. Am I hungry? Am I hungry for food? Or am I hungry for spiritual food? Right? Am I overwhelmed? Have I overpacked my calendar yet again? Do I need to take a break and just have a moment to breathe? Am I tired? Have I not been sleeping well enough? Have I been trying to stay up an hour past bedtime just so I can have moments to myself after the kids go to sleep? I am so guilty of that. And then I wake up in the morning extremely exhausted and wondering why I'm ill. So I challenge you today, if you find yourself getting snappish, please examine yourself. What is causing this undertone of attitude, okay? Do you need to take a moment and have a praise break with Jesus? Do you need to just take a moment and step back and put the chores to the side and play with your kids? Ask God to lead and guide you and show you so that we can take these bad attitudes and put them where they belong, in our history, in the rearview mirror, behind us, so we can be that true Christ-like that we're supposed to be, that Christ-like wife and mother, that Christ-like witness and friend, not someone who's getting snippish and snapping at the ones that we love the very most. So I'm challenging you just like I'm challenging myself. Let's pause for a moment when we're feeling that creeping up again and we feel that we are just about to blow our top. Let's take a step back and see what is causing this. Because then we have an opportunity to fix it so we can go forward and be the peacemakers that God has called us to be.